Go! An interesting point to note is that both Williams and Jordan, two of the great innovators in car design, have opted for an oval air intake above the driver's head. It'll be interesting to see what difference this makes. Down into second, third. That was definitely a knock on the barrier.
One unique feature of the Stewart car design is the high side pods on the car and the large turning vanes, which should reduce the amount of debris that is sucked off the track into the radiator grille during the normal course of a race. This sort of accumulation can actually cause a drop-off between 10 and 20% in the radiator's efficiency.
Second, fourth gear, up into fifth, sixth gear. Fourth, up into fifth, fifth. Go! A new TAR ruling for 1997 is that the teams have to decide in advance which compound to use for both qualifying and the race. And having done so, they're limited to a maximum of 28 TARs. Down into second, up into fourth. He's already behind at the first split. He's looking good for an excellent lap here, up at split 2. Second, down into second. Excellent! That was a brilliant lap and puts him on provisional pole. Let's see how he compares with the previous qualifying times. That's the fastest time over the first sector we've seen today. Down into second. Second gear. Third. He's up on the leader at intermediate 2. I think we'll see him in pole position for tomorrow's race. That first split time is actually faster than the current fastest qualifying lap. Second gear, down into first. He's down at the second split. Down into second. Up into fourth. Fourth. Okay, let's have a look at the qualifying time so far. He's already behind his best time at intermediate 1.
Each tyre manufacturer supplies two different compounds, a hard one and a soft one. The teams have to decide after the practice sessions which compound they will use for both qualifying and the race. They have to decide whether or not to use soft tyres, which are faster but may involve having an extra pit stop.
Down into second. That's intermediate 2, and he's slower than his best. It's incredible! These drivers are controlling a car about half the weight of a Mini, and these things can accelerate to about 150 miles an hour in 6.5 to 7 seconds. This looks like a slower lap. He's down at split 1. Down into first. Up into second. 4. 4. That's intermediate 2, and he's slower than his best. Up into 4th, up into 5th, 6th. Up into 5th, 6th gear. Let's see how he compares with the previous qualifying times. That's the fastest time over the first sector we've seen today. Third gear, up into fourth, up into fifth, third, down into first. I'm looking at the qualifying lap times now. That's down on his previous fastest lap over the second sector.
With the 107% rule of the past couple of years, we're seeing that the tail-end teams have had to sharpen up their act and spend longer making sure they can do competitive time. This means that the gap between the qualifying times from the front to the back of the grid is now much less.
Let me just check how that time compares. He's down at the first split. Down into first, up into second. Okay, let's have a look at the qualifying time so far. I don't think he's going to better his time. He's behind at split 2. Up into fifth, up into sixth, fourth, down into second.
He's on a fresh set of tyres, which means that, for a while at least, he'll have something of a time advantage over the other cars.
Let's see how he compares with the previous qualifying times. This looks like a slower lap. He's down at split 1. I'm looking at the qualifying lap times now. That's down on his previous fastest lap over the second sector. Normally, motor racing, driving a car right to its limit, is very much a skill from the head, not from the heart. But out on the track today, we're seeing some really passionate performances. He's hit Rubens Barrichello. It's Coulthard. He must have hit the barrier.
The front wings on these cars have had to be changed in recent years. They now have a thicker, rounded end plate so they can stand a much lesser chance of puncturing a tyre if they hit it.
I'm looking at the qualifying lap times now. He's already behind at the first split. Second, third gear, fourth, fifth, sixth, third. He's down at the second split. Let's see how he compares with the previous qualifying times. That's the fastest time over the first sector we've seen today. He's done a fantastic job. Down into first, second, third gear, fourth gear. He's looking good for an excellent lap here, up at split 2. Down into second. Coulthard. He's smashed into the barriers. There must be damage to the car. Down into second. Up into third. Fourth. Fifth. Sixth gear. Let's see how he compares with the previous qualifying times. This looks like a slower lap. He's down at split 1. Third third, fourth, fifth. He's down at the second split. Welcome to the beautiful Spa-Francorchamps circuit for the Belgian Grand Prix. This is without doubt the best road track in the world. It has everything. 4.3 miles long, straights, fast open corners, a tight chicane and the legendary daunting Eau Rouge. The scenery is just as spectacular and there are loads of good vantage points. Spa is a real favourite for Michael Schumacher. He won here last year and it's where he made his debut in 1991 and where he won his first victory a year later. The drivers are lined up on the grid now, preparing themselves for the start. The red lights are beginning to come on. And it's go, go, go! Streaming down to the first corner. He's just hit Brinson. Look at that! Of course, the reward for driving like this should be vital points for the driver and the team. He's off to a flying start. Up into fifth. He's collided with Irvine. It looks like there was a coming together there. One thing we might see this year is drivers having problems with cramp. All the teams have followed Williams' lead from last year and positioned their drivers lower in the car, reclined further back with their feet raised up more. He's collided with Irvine. He probably just lost concentration for a second and that was all it took. This is lap 2 of the race. A real shunt between these two. He must have been braking much harder than the car behind. It's Coulthard. That was a bit of a scrape along the Armco. There was definitely contact between the two cars. The gap is increasing. Race order. Williams number 1. Michael Schumacher, Jean Alesi, Gerhard Berger. There's only a small gap between them now. The car in front will really be feeling the pressure. Unbelievable! 5th position now. There are only 3 laps left in this race now. His lap time is quicker than the car he's chasing. He's up into 4th. That was actually a better first split than the current leader. He's closing the gap. Look at that! He's collided with Alesi. That's moved him to 3rd place. There are only 2 laps left in which to decide the race. Amazing! He's closing the gap in front. He's moved up to 2nd place. He's up on the leader at split 1. Well, he must have taken his eyes off the road for a split second and ended up in the back of the car in front. It looks like there was a coming together there. He's right on his tail. He's hit the Canadian. He's hit the Canadian! That collision will probably have done major damage to both cars. Only one more lap to go. His lap time is quicker than the car he's chasing. He's hit the Canadian! Coulthard! Just a touch of the barrier, that shouldn't slow him down. Race order. Williams number 1. David Coulthard. Michael Schumacher. Gerhard Berger. Look at that. He's hit the Canadian! This is terrific! Now he's in first place!
The benefits of his many years' experience in Formula 1 really show in a race like this.
David Coulthard, the young Scot, will certainly be hoping to put the setbacks of last year behind him and really fulfil the potential he showed when he was with the Williams team. He crosses the line to euphoric applause.